And God is not closer in this moment than any other moment in your week that's just gone. But prayer is the act of becoming conscious that God is with you and you are with God. So just do that now. The Lord is here. His Spirit is with us, with you. Well, good morning. Good to be with you. Good to be with you. I'd like to say that all texts in the Bible are important, but it does strike me that some are more important than others. For instance, if you're ploughing through Leviticus, you're thinking, or Numbers, and you're thinking, what? So yes, some texts are more important than others, but I've got an excitement about today because this is what I would call a mega text. This is a big one. It really is big. Genesis 12, and those opening few verses are mega. Why? Thank you, Jenny, for giving us that discipline of thinking about one individual in our prayers. Romy. The Bible begins on a cosmic scale. It's vast. The creation. The place of the human within that creation, made in the image of God. How human beings screw things up and have that tendency to get things wrong. How violence is, as it were, standing at the door, ready to take over within our spirits, Cain and Abel. How evil can easily multiply so quickly. And how there can be a cosmic kickback against that. A sense of chaos and of judgment. The flood. And how human beings can become arrogant and lift themselves up and band together to make a name for themselves, only to find that it leads to chaos. It's cosmic. It's big. It's vast. And then, what does God's word do? It takes one individual. Abram. So you go from the cosmic to the personal. You go from that which is vast to that which is little. Just one solitary human being. I say solitary, he wasn't on his own, but in this sense, the focus is on that individual. Going to talk about the faith journey as illustrated by Abram. And the first thing that I want to draw to your attention is just precisely this. It's praying for Romy. It's having your attention brought to Abram. It's personal. The journey of faith is personal. It's personal. And in one sense, each of us makes that journey on our own. No one else can make the journey that you make, that I have to make. We each have to make our own journey. Now that can feel quite threatening, perhaps. But it's not meant to be. It's just, as it were, the burden of individuality, of being the person that God has made you to be. No one else can be who you are. So it means that in many ways our faith journey has to be personal, and there has to be an ownership of it. I can't make you walk your journey. You can't make me walk my journey. I have to walk those steps of faith. And so in that sense, it's very intimate. It's you and God. It's God and you. And that's why I paused for prayer in silence this morning, that we may each become aware that God is with us, that God is with you, as close to you always as your breath. The journey was personal. God spoke to Abram. God addressed Abram. And I believe God addresses every single one of us. But we have to train our ear to hear. We have to train ourselves to understand. And that's what prayer is. It's not in the end coming up with ideas and thoughts and words. It's not about stringing together petitions for this person and that person and your own need. It's not that at all. Prayer is as it were, the orientation of the human heart becoming aware that God is for you. Beautiful. Prayer is the orientation of the heart to become aware that God is for you. It's personal, folks. It's personal. Secondly, and this might sound a bit alarming, it's a journey into the unknown. You don't know where life's journey is going to take you. Listen to what God says as he addresses Abram. He says, "Leave your own country for what is foreign. Go from your own kind to that which is strange. Go from your own family to what is unfamiliar." Same word, familiar, but unfamiliar. So it's a journey into the unknown. And there are at times shocks along the way. We're going through such a shock at the moment as individuals, Helena and myself. The shock of my wife's diagnosis and what it means for us. Life has changed for me and for her. We're now living at a level of uncertainty that I've not felt or experienced before. Some of you know what I'm talking about because you've lost those dearest to you. You've gone through this experience before me. We can't know what is ahead, the good things, the beautiful things, the things that take our breath away, the things that challenge and stretch us, the things that unnerve us and cause us to think, what now? What now? or just, ouch, this hurts. It's a journey into the unknown. It was for Abram, and it is for us. That is the nature of life. But Abram went. He responded. He responded. Abram did as God had asked him to. And so we get a little bit more, a bit kinder now. So if the journey is personal, if the journey is a journey into the unknown, it is also a journey of blessing. That word that comes up, it's a movement of blessing that you and I are a part of. The word blessing comes on a number of occasions in just those few verses. I'm going to bless you. I am going to bless you, and you are going to be a blessing to all people. I can remember the time when, in my own life, I realized deep in my heart and my spirit that God was not out to get me, but out to bless me. I was 17 at the time. How grateful I am that I came to this so young in my life, but it got me into trouble. It meant that I was called, my particular calling was to go into ministry. And my word, that stretched me. I fouled things up good and proper at times. But I wouldn't have done anything else because I know that I've been blessed. Blessed. Deeply. Deeply. Walking the faith journey means that you are given so much insight into yourself, into others, into the human condition. It can make you more flexible, more open, more ready to be adventurous, more ready to pick yourself up when you foul things up and screw things up, because you know that it's never, never actually the end. We'll come back to that in a moment. So you know. I don't need to tell you this. But sometimes the very nature of life can rob us of that conviction. We are truly blessed if we know God. Truly blessed, right to the depth of our very being. But notice that in saying, I'm going to bless you, the text goes on to say this blessing is going to be universal. It gets cosmic very quickly, once again. And through the individual being blessed, you are going to be a blessing to all peoples, all families on earth. You're going to be a blessing. And how true that's turned out to be. Yeah, 3 religions can look back to Abraham and do look back to Abraham. Christian, Jew, and Muslim all look back to Abraham. So in that sense, yes, it's blessed many people, but actually there has been a revelation for the blessing of the whole earth through that faith journey that Abraham stepped out on, that we hear recounted in Genesis chapter 12. Blessing is for all. In other words, it's not just something that is turned in upon yourself. It's something that takes you out as part of a movement of blessing in this world. What is love, for instance, other than a turning out? I like the definition that Iris Murdoch gave about love. She was a novelist in the 20th century. Some of you may have read one of her novels, a very big novelist in our English language. But she was also a moral philosopher, a big brain, in other words. I think she was at Oxford, so someone really heady. And this is how she defines love. It's worth thinking about this, but it's unusual. Listen, love is the extremely difficult realization that something other than oneself is real. Let me read that again. It's worth pondering. Love is the extremely difficult realization that something other than oneself is real. In plain English, what she's saying is, my feelings, my experiences, my thoughts are real to me. But they're just as real to you, not my thoughts, but your thoughts, your feelings are just as real, just as to be honoured as my own. And love is coming to the understanding that there's more to life than just me. In other words, it's not life curved in on itself, which was Luther's great understanding, brilliant understanding of the nature of sin. Life curved in on itself. But God says to Abraham, your life is going to be turned out towards blessing others. Do you see? God's blessed you. God is with you. God honors you and respects you. You are made in the image of God. I must take you as seriously as me. That's why the human being should be a hospitable place for our fellow human beings. I must learn and walk the pathway of becoming hospitable to other human beings, even someone that I don't like. I struggle with Donald Trump. And yet, I have to say, Ibbo, come on. My name, by the way, surname is Ibbotson, and I've always been called Ibbo. So I say to myself, Ibbo, see him as made in the image of God. I may not like things about him, but I must honour and respect him. So it's not life turned in on itself, it's life turned out towards the blessing of others as well as being blessed ourselves. It's not saying we have to just give ourselves away. No, we have to learn to live in blessing. But by living in blessing, it is so that we may bless others. What a wonderful vision. So simple. So profound, so right to the core of what it means to be the kind of human being that is needed in this world. A mega text. And finally, if it's a journey that's personal, a journey into the unknown, a movement of blessing, it is also learning to live from promise in the realities of life. Learning to live from promise in the realities of life. God says you're going to be a great nation. and you're going to have a land. The two promises, land and a great nation. And Abram must have said, what? He must have been tempted many times after he stepped out, well, God, where's it going to be? When is this great promise going to actually see even the beginning of being actually fulfilled? Genesis 11, at the end of that cosmic scope that is set out for us in Genesis 1 to 11, ends with, and Sarah, Abram's wife, was barren. Boom. Be fruitful and multiply. Chapter 11, barren. You couldn't get a greater contrast. Fruitful and multiply. That's the blessing on human beings. Sarah was barren. And yet that is exactly where God actually makes his promise. Through you, all nations will be blessed. So what we find in these next few chapters, and do go and just read it at some point, we see obedience and we see failure. We see him stepping out, but we see him screwing things up big time, not least for his wife, Sarah, who he lands in it not just once, but on 2 occasions. Folks, you're going to screw things up. I'm going to screw things up. But God still keeps going and his promise is still there. And he will fulfill it. God's promise that all who are weary and heavy laden, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. That is a promise. And we hold on to it. Through all the experiences of life, we hold on to it. And you know what? It may be tough, but it can keep you tender. If you hold those promises, it can keep you tender rather than cynical. It keeps you tender. Not only obedience and failure, but we also see his active engagement, calling out to God. And you notice in those early chapters that he's building altars. In other words, he's trying to take God seriously in his life. He's trying to say, God is a part of my life. I'm going to give space and time and attention to God. That's what that is saying. That's the symbolism behind his activity of building altars and calling on the name of God. Also, we see that Abram begins to allow God and his covenant promises to be weaved into his life. Gradually, there's this intermingling through the different chapters of God coming and fulfilling and filling out the nature of this promise and telling him there are certain marks of this covenant that he's made. Gradually, that's woven into his life so that eventually he's formed into a new identity. He is Abram at the beginning, and he becomes Abraham. Abram means great ancestor. Great ancestor. Abraham. But Abraham means ancestor of a great many. It's a play on words, but reverses it. You're not going to be a great ancestor. You're going to be an ancestor of a great many. Isn't that beautiful? Friends, as we walk with God, as God walks with us through our pains and our difficulties. God's grace can keep you tender. Can keep you tender. I live by that. And I want to be able to say that when I come to the end. God, keep me tender. God, help me to live in blessing. Help me to be blessed and to bless others. God bless you. God is with you, near to each of us. Amen.